Hey everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, where we talk all things media. And you guys spoke, and I am answering that call. Thank you so much. If you were one of the people who answered my poll question that I put up recently, did you have any interest in seeing my video games I picked up over the last, year, maybe even a little bit more than that, because they've just been sitting there waiting for me to share. But honestly, I just didn't know if you guys would be interested. But the overwhelming majority of you are. And if you're not, well, frankly, you're probably just not watching this video. But before we get into this, I will mention I have 5 different videos planned, at least as of now. I've been doing a ton of video game buying recently though, so that'll probably extend as I buy more. But currently what I broke them down into I have a PS3, PS4, PS5 video, a Switch video, an Xbox 360 video, and an Xbox One/Series X video. Today's video though is PS2 games, which I just love. And so very excited to share these with you guys. Before we get into the video though, let me just shout out Jay over at Square Pegs. I was fortunate enough to grab one of his shirts. I think the design is awesome. But if you haven't checked out the channel of Square Pegs, I highly recommend it. Jay is just an awesome guy in general, and his video game content is incredible. He's putting up a short every single day, and they're always awesome. Not only that, but he sometimes talks about sports video games, which I am such a mark for, so I love it. But definitely check out Jay over at Square Pegs if you haven't already. I will link his channel in the description box below. But with that said, let's not waste any more time at all. Let's dive right in to my PlayStation 2 video game haul. So I'll mention right at the top here that basically everything you're going to see is going to be complete in box. That's what I'm really collecting now, which is a far cry from what I was collecting years ago. If you look at my collection, there are so many cases in there that are fake cases, no cover art, no manual, basically just disc only. But that's what happens when you take advantage of those extremely cheap deals at GameStop. You just never know what you're going to get. So nowadays, though, I've kind of changed my focus a bit. I've actually purged out a ton of PS2 games, mostly old sports games. I've mentioned it before, but my collection is just filled with old sports games. It still is, but maybe a little bit lesser now. I actually took a big old box to Disc Replay not too long ago, and they only took about half the box. So the other half I do plan to taking to another local video game store to see what they can offer, if anything. But yeah, so because of that, I have a ton of sports games in the collection. Today, fortunately for all of you, there's not going to be any sports games in here, I don't think. Yeah, no, nothing at all sports related, which is what most people want to see. So anyway, that's a lot of rambling. Let's get into what I picked up. Alright, so the first game today is a first-person shooter that I absolutely love. I played the opening sequence of this game more times than I can count. We have Medal of Honor Frontline. Now, the storming of Normandy, right? Storming the beaches of Normandy is the opening sequence in this, and I remember playing it for the first time and just how remarkable that was. I fell in love with that game at that point and have loved it ever since. I was shocked to find, actually I got this one just a couple days ago, I was shocked to realize I didn't already have it in my PS2 collection, so I quickly remedied that and had to pick it up, and it is a beautiful complete in-box edition. So yeah, this is a great game. I cannot wait to revisit this. I've always enjoyed the Medal of Honor games, and this is probably my favorite of the bunch. We have Medal of Honor Frontline.
Artillery strike scattered what's left of our squad all over the beach. 4 of our boys are over there. Help them move up the beach to the seawall. I'll give you some covering fire. Now move out!
As much as I love the Medal of Honor games, there are a bunch that I just haven't played at all yet, and this next one is one of those. I believe it's the sequel, the Frontline. We have Medal of Honor Rising Sun. Now, at one point, I was going through and playing the campaign in all of the Call of Duty games, and I made it all the way up to World at War, I believe, is where I left off, and I do want to pick that up at some point, because I love war first-person shooters. I know they're as basic as you come, but I always have a good time with them, and this one looks to be a lot of fun as well. So yeah, hopefully I'll enjoy this one as much as I liked Frontline, but given that most people don't really talk about this one too much, my expectations aren't high, but this was $3.99, and again, it is fully complete. So I was absolutely grabbing this one. So Medal of Honor Rising Sun. Next up is a series that I want to complete eventually, but one of the games I didn't have in the collection on the PS2 was Siphon Filter Dark Mirror. Now, this was originally a PlayStation portable game that was eventually ported over to the PS2, and it's one that I have not yet played. I loved the Siphon Filter games when I was younger. I received all three of them for like various birthdays or Christmas gifts throughout the years, and I don't think I ever beat any of them because that's just how I am with video games. I rarely beat games, but I love the original. I've actually started playing the original again on PS5 thanks to the PS1 Classics that you can get on there, and I would love to play through all three of them there and then jump over to the PS2, which there are, I believe, 3 on PS2. The other one I need still is Siphon Filter Logan's Shadow, another PSP game that was ported over. But yeah, I love this franchise, so this is one that I want to eventually complete. I do need to get the first 3 on PS1 first, or eventually, but the ones I'm focusing on right now are the PS2 versions. So this is one of 2 that I needed in the collection yet, so very happy to add Siphon Filter Dark Mirror to that collection. These next 2 are kind of similar in a weird way. I was watching a video recently on YouTube that was talking about PS2 ports, the good and the bad, and this one and the next one are both really good ones that are supposed to be better than their Xbox 360/PS3 counterparts, and so I wanted to pick these ones up, and again, super cheap on these. This one I grabbed from Media Reload. We have Splinter Cell Double Agent. Now, from what I was hearing in that video, this is just a more well-fleshed out game than what we ended up getting on the Xbox 360, which that's a game I believe I still have it. I know I had it in my collection at one point, but the Splinter Cell series, I own the HD trilogy for PS3, and I have not played through these. As many games as there are in the Splinter Cell series, this is one that I cannot believe, I have to say, that I've never played a single entry in this franchise. But yeah, Splinter Cell Double Agent is supposed to be really awesome on the PS2, so that's why I ended up grabbing this port of Splinter Cell Double Agent.
Low pain threshold.
Ow! Yes!
Similarly to that last one, another port that is very highly regarded is the PS2 port of Star Wars Force Unleashed. This is one that I do have on Xbox 360, but I didn't have the PS2 version, and if it's a better port for the like $5, I figured, yeah, why not grab this one and add it to the collection. So I guess this was canon before the whole Disney takeover where like nothing was canon other than the movies, but I don't care about Legends or canon really. Like, as long as it's a good, fun story set in a universe I adore, I absolutely want to try it out. So I will probably play this one on PS2 before I try it on the Xbox 360. I realize I haven't been showing the inside. Some of them are interesting, some of them not so much. Like this one, you can see it's complete, but they all are. But yeah, so Star Wars Force Unleashed I grabbed again because the PS2 port is just supposed to be the superior way to play this one. I did grab another Star Wars game, and this was kind of an impulse buy for me. I've been trying to really curate my collection at this point, which if you look at my collection, you would think that's ridiculous that I said that because I have so much garbage in there. But when I'm buying new games, I have a very specific set of games I'm trying to pick up. But this one was an impulse buy because it looks awesome. This is Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. Now, of course, it is a movie tie-in game, so it's probably not great, but what I loved about this one was just the packaging. So this one I definitely will show off. on the inside, not only do you have the instruction manual, you have this awesome little comic book to go with it as well, which is just super cool. So that's the reason I really wanted to grab this one. Another one that was super cheap, and it has this little like postcard thing in it too, which is fun. But yeah, the comic book was really the seller for me. Take a look at that. I mean, that's awesome. Like, how fun is that? So yeah, and it has the manual with it too. But yeah, just, I don't know, kind of interesting. I love the Star Wars movies. Yes, I do like the prequel trilogy as well, which I know not a lot of people do. But because of that, I figured, yeah, we're going to add that one to the collection and give it a shot. In my head, I have it that I would love to play all of the Star Wars games, like post PS1, like PS1 and older. I have no interest in going back to like Super Star Wars on SNES because that thing is ridiculously difficult and I suck at video games, so I'm just not going to be able to do anything with that. But something like this, I would love to try. There's so many others, and you'll probably see more of these as I go through. There are a couple I have that I want to get on the original Xbox because they are backwards compatible on the Xbox Series X. So yeah, anyway, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Your eyes open.
Watch those grapple droids.
This was another impulse buy for me when I was at Disc Replay, but it just looks so beautiful, and it's a Dragon Quest game that I've always wanted to play. It's supposed to be one of the best ones. We have Dragon Quest VIII. And what is it? Journey of the Cursed King. That's the subtitle on this one. But this was one that I've always heard amazing things about over the years. Supposed to be one of the best in the Dragon Quest franchise. You're actually going to see another Dragon Quest game when I talk about the Switch releases I picked up. But yeah, this one also is just beautiful. Has the disc in here, plus the Final Fantasy XII demo disc, which is just fun, plus the big, thick, beautiful manual with it. So yeah, this was an awesome release, and honestly, the price on it I thought was pretty good for a PS2 era RPG. Typically, those tend to be a little bit more expensive, but this was right around 20 bucks. So I figured, you know what? I'm in the mood. Let's give it a shot and see if it's any good. I am not someone who plays RPGs in general, but I have always wanted to get into them, and I've heard this is a great one to get into. So hopefully it'll be one I enjoy once I start playing it. It's just the whole idea of playing like 40 to 80 hours on one game is just so daunting to me. I don't know when I'll actually get to it, but eventually I hope to try out Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King. This is the only greatest hits version I have in today's video, and unlike most people, I don't really care about getting the greatest hits version of games or like the platinum hits or whatever they're going to call it, the Nintendo Selects. Yes, they look different. Yes, they usually look a little gaudy, but I don't typically mind it. That said, in this new kind of focus on my collecting for my video games, I would like to stick to Black Label, but this one is the greatest hits version of Resident Evil Code Veronica X. This is really where I jumped off of the Resident Evil train. I've not played anything past this. I played the first 3, really enjoyed them, but then I never really played much after that on like the PS2 and onwards. So this is one I always wanted to have in the collection. I just never owned it. So I had to pick it up. It was a lot cheaper at Media Reload when I was there versus Disc Replay. So that's why I ended up picking up the greatest hits version, just because it's what they had. And it was like 10 bucks cheaper than at Disc Replay. So yeah, I believe this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is ported from the Dreamcast version of the game. So very intrigued to check it out. I love the Resident Evil games, at least the first 3. I definitely want to do a playthrough of the whole series eventually, but had to get this one for the collection. We have Resident Evil Code Veronica X. So I have 4 games left to share with you guys, and I'll entirely admit that these are just to have in the collection. I own these, for 3 of the 4 I own as like HD remasters from like the PS3 era, and they're great. That's where I played this first one I'll show you on and beat it, and I'll probably play the next ones there. I just wanted these in the collection because they are all-time favorites of mine. I spent so many hours playing this series when I was younger, bought it brand new, and I remember sitting on the phone with my buddy, talking to each other as we were both playing Grand Theft Auto 3. We both just loved it. this is such a game changer, right? Like just a amazing game that really changed the face of the gaming industry as far as I'm concerned. And so because of that, I wanted it in my physical collection. So that's why I grabbed Grand Theft Auto 3. This one does not come with a map or anything, but it does have the poster. I mean, like the original release. This is complete. The original release did not have a map. And again, if I'm saying anything wrong, let me know down below. But that is why I grabbed Grand Theft Auto 3. I played this one maybe 2 years ago, I guess, on the HD remaster. Not like the latest remasters that are terrible that came out, but the ones that came out for the PS3 that you can play on your PS4. That's how I ended up playing it. And I love this game. It is just so much fun. Really, just the second you start it, it takes me right back to high school. I love this franchise. So first up here is Grand Theft Auto 3.
Chunky Lee Chong is pushing Spank for some new gang from Colombia or Colorado or something, I'm not really sure. Who needs details? Anyway, he's got a noodle stand down in Chinatown. That rat has sold his last stir fry. I want you to take him out. If you need a piece, go around back of Ammunition opposite the subway. Sort yourself with a 9. You know where it is, right?
So I grabbed the first one from Media Reload, but then I grabbed the next 2 games in this franchise from eBay because it just was the best deals I could find. So I have GTA 3. Of course, I need GTA Vice City. Another one. I love this game so much. It is so much fun. A lot of people will say this is their favorite in the franchise. I feel like if you are of a certain age, this might be your favorite in the franchise just because of where it's set right back in the 80s and kind of that Miami Vice vibe to the whole thing. It's just such a gorgeous game. And frankly, from what I remember, it really adds on to what the original gave us. But what's really cool is that this comes with the tourist guide, aka the manual, and the poster. So I made sure that everything I got was complete. And so, you know, sometimes you got to pay a little bit more for that, but that was totally fine. This thing is in beautiful shape. Super impressed by the eBay seller on this one, which you can't always say. So yeah, GTA Vice City is the next one in the Grand Theft Auto franchise in my collection.
I'm gonna go see what I can dig up. I'll be watching you, Tommy.
And then, of course, no PS2 Grand Theft Auto collection would be complete without GTA San Andreas. Now, for me, this is the one I played the least growing up. Now, I don't know why that is. It may have just come out at a time where I wasn't playing as much. It was 2004, right? So, you know, that was between high school and college. So I just didn't have as much time to play. So I played this one significantly less, and I don't think I ever beat this one. So I definitely want to correct that. Another one, a lot of people will consider this one their favorite. I always feel like it's between Vice City and San Andreas when you talk about the originals on PS2. But yeah, great game from what I recall. And just a gigantic open world that you can do anything and everything in, which is so fun. And again, we have the tourist guide plus the poster with it as well. So another one that was super impressed by my eBay purchase. So very happy to add Grand Theft Auto San Andreas to the collection to complete the trilogy.
Like riding bike, ain't it, boy?
Yeah, it all comes back.
How you doing on the Fetty?
I'm kinda short, you know. Crab took all my paper, man. Left me with nothing but small change.
Here, get yourself a bit of something.
But last but not least today was one I picked up from Disc Replay. I actually had this thing in my hand like the last 4 visits and I just never picked it up. But finally on my last time there, I did grab it. Really good price on this for a beautiful complete copy. And I don't have this one on the HD collection because as far as I know, it's not available anywhere else other than the PSP and the PS2 ports. We have Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. So like I said, this originally was a PSP game that was eventually ported over. There is the only other one I need for PS2 now is Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories. For whatever reason, that game is incredibly difficult to find for a decent price. I don't know if I've looked on eBay for it yet, but in all of the video game stores I've been in recently, they just don't have it at all. Or it's in a fake box, which I don't want disc only. So I will be patient with that, take my time, and really focus on this one first and then go to play that one. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I remember I had this one on PSP and I loved it. Now, probably just because it was portable Grand Theft Auto, but I loved it for what it was. And so very happy to add it to the PS2 collection, and one that I will actually have to physically play this PS2 disc in order to enjoy. But yeah, really cool find, really good ad in my opinion. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories is going to be the last of the PS2 games that I've picked up recently.
Please, I don't want any trouble.
That's why you need us.
Please! No, please!
This is Cholo turf.
All right, that is a fantastic stack of fun as far as I'm concerned, but let me know down in the comments below what's your favorite from this stack of games. I'm sure you've played one, if not most of these in this pile because they're all pretty popular releases, but as I continue to build my collection, I really want to curate it. Like I already said, like I want very specific titles in there, not just something to have it. I want it to have meaning to me or something like that. So like I want it to have purpose in the collection. Maybe it's just to play it, which is totally fine, but otherwise it could just be to have it, like a lot of these Grand Theft Auto games. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below what PS2 games you've been picking up recently, if any. What's your favorite PS2 game? What game do I absolutely need to have in my collection? Any suggestions are always appreciated. But that is it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video game haul, please hit that like button down below. That way I'll know to continue with the other 4 videos I have planned at this point. But thank you guys so much for checking this video out. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you follow Jay at Square Pegs, one of my favorite gaming channels out there, so definitely check his channel out if you like gaming in general. The dude's awesome. But with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, I just want to encourage you all to consume some media today. I'll catch you next time.